There's a new Concourse Firewall insulator pad. This Firewall insulator pad is molded just like original. Kind of expensive, but they're a lot better than the cheap repos. The cheap repos you have to do a lot of trimming. They don't want to fit real good. These are very nice reproduction.
I wonder how many people have even seen one of these pads.
All the holes and everything are already pre-punched for the clips. This has the punch out right here for air conditioning, which our car don't, so that won't be punched out. Also got the correct barbed insulator pad clips. They're a steel clip. The later ones were a rubber one. The barbed steel push-in.
What's cool is you'll hear it pop every time you push past one of those barbs.
There's a dotted line you gotta cut on. It fits up and around the brake pedal assembly. Oh.
Navigating that pad around those pedals is the most difficult part of this installation. Made easier by those cutouts in the pad.
But this is for the emergency brake. And you can also glue these in some with the spray trim easel.
But what really holds this thick insulator pad in place are those barbed clips. Wait for it, more barbs on that clip.
So it's laying up there real nice. Huh?
Yep, a lot better than the cheapos.
Installing a wiring harness, I'm not going to tell you it's easy. I'll let Jason do that.
You can't get them wrong. They're only going to go one way. Only one's going to fit. And the wire colors are the same on both sides.
See, we are not gatekeepers. A gatekeeper is somebody that complicates a how-to to make them look smart. And I'm not going to tell you if you can untangle your earpod wires, you can do this. Just be willing to get your hands dirty.
I'm going to install the main dash harness, this little bitty harness compared to modern cars. This is the original harness. I rewrapped all this black, the harness wrap, and then I take lacquer thinner and clean all the debris and grease and whatnot off the wires themselves. Each plug I fill with dielectric grease. This is the under dash harness, so this has your fuse box. This operates your ignition switch. It has your turn signal relays. It has all the plugs for wiper, steering column, light switch, courtesy lamps, heater control, heater relay.
How hard is that to put in?
It takes about 3 minutes.
So how do you install it?
You just feed it through. It actually goes in front of this pillar here for the gauge cluster, and it just kind of feeds through the hole, and it's got a few snaps here and there where it mounts up under. For the most part, it just kind of lays in there. Then you feed the wires, like this wire here is for the courtesy lamps. So this has to feed over here to the courtesy lamp switch. These two wires here have to feed through a hole in the firewall. This is the blower motor for the heater. These go through the firewall on the other side and plug into the blower motor. Here's your fuse box. The fuse box mounts up on the firewall above the accelerator pedal.
How did you know this was in good shape?
You pretty much just pull it out and start cleaning on it, check for any kind of burns or shorts. If it don't have any burns, shorts, or anything like that, then it's good to go. Like right here is for the wiper switch. These are for these cluster wires right here for the tail lights. All those wires are for tail lights. This plug right here is for the instrument cluster. This big square one's for the light switch, which the light switch goes right here. And then the turn signal flasher actually has a little bracket it clips into right here behind the instrument cluster. That's a good place to start. get that in that little bracket, and then this ground wire right here goes to that screw hole right there. It's pretty much in position right now. Now we just gotta feed everything where they kind of need to go. This harness is so simple and little. You do like a 94 Mustang where you got to take the whole dash out, wire everything, and then put the dash back in. These cars are so easy. There's just nothing to them compared to most of your newer cars. Okay, this is the courtesy lamps. I'm gonna run that down. So a lot of this runs down around to the pillars. Just kind of feed them where they go. But that's pretty much a mock-up of the dash lights. Now I'm going to run the tail light harness, and it runs up through here, and then we can plug in the tail light harness to this main dash harness. And you kind of get all your harnesses laid out and then start plugging stuff in. There's one in the engine compartment for the headlight and all that kind of stuff, and then you got one that runs to the back for the tail lights and courtesy lights. I got 2 more harnesses, and then we have the Shelby components. Here are the Shelby components. This is 2 small harnesses for the tail lights, and it has your 3 individual bulbs for the Shelby conversion. And they actually use just quick connector butt connectors. These are better than original because they have the heat shrink. Originally they just used a blue quick connect butt connector. So these will be a little better because you can heat shrink the ends and keep the moisture out. And then on the front they had the 2 inboard headlight, and these were just spliced in with splicers, and they were a white color, which I have the correct reproduction white color splicers for these, and this is for the inboard headlamps. And there are 2 of these, and then 2 of the tail. But next we have the this is the headlight harness, and it's a brand new harness. These are always, since they're in the engine compartment, the heat will destroy them. They get crunchy and deteriorate. And then this is a new taillight harness. Okay, this is our new taillight harness. And the original harness is right there. It's not, it could be reused if you're on a budget. Reason I always use new harnesses is this cotton wrap on them always deteriorates. As you can see right here, it just falls apart and has missing areas. This one car had a lot of mice damage in it too, so they eat on that, but you can see all these missing chunks of the wrap. And this stuff just deteriorates and comes off. The wire itself is in good shape. It could have been probably reused. You could have rewrapped it with electrical tape or harness wrap and reused it, but as cheap as these harnesses really are, it's not worth messing with. Right. So brand new harness, you won't have any issues with wiring. A lot of times you'll have issues with the brake lights or the turn signal's not working, and 90% of the time it's this harness here. It has a courtesy lamp, the gas tank sending unit wire, which is this yellow wire, and then it has the pigtail, which this actually is cut off for Shelby, and this pigtail here is for the reverse lights. So it has tail and turn, reverse lights, gas sending wire, and courtesy lamps for the back quarter panel. So the regular Mustang just had 2 taillight sockets. So they cut those off, cut these 2 wires off here, and then butt connected the 3 for the Shelby taillights. And that's all they did. These are the original Shelby sockets for the bulbs for the T-Bird taillights. And we'll start with this end here. And it goes over the wheel well all the way to the front. The tricky part on this is getting these 2 plugs through this hole here. So you got to run it through the pillar. This goes up to the dash into the corner here. They go up through the pillar. A little more slack. holes give you access to grab the wires and pull them through. They gotta go all the way to the top hinge pillar hole. Cluster of wires here. And as you can see, that green plastic one. And the flat Motorola plug goes through the flat. You can't get them wrong, they're only going to go one way, only one's going to fit. And the wire colors are the same on both sides. And these are called a Motorola plug. And you want to push them together, just like that. You can see the wire colors are the same on both sides. Now that's plugged into our dash harness. There's a little clip right here that plugs, snaps. It's an anti-chafing clip. It has a hole. It just snaps right in there and keeps that from rattling and chafing. The rest of the wires just fit nice through that little gully. Originally, they actually put like a masking tape over this, a paper tape, and you can put that back over there. And then the harness sits here in a quarter panel. These two wires, one grounds here. This is for the interior light for the back quarter panel. And that's why we're installing this harness now, because we're going to be installing the interior panels, so we have to have this wire installed now.
Okay, in that little pocket.
Yeah. Okay, now go back to the back. Finish routing this. Is the fuel sending wire, and it goes all the way across into this hole here. And it's got a plug. And that's what's nice about a new harness. The plugs actually snap back in. And then this has some clips that hold it on the gas tank bolts, and then it had actually tape that held it down, like a masking tape. So this routes to the back. This wire here and this ground wire are the wires for the license plate lamp and the ground, which attach to the latch post. So you take this one, you have to fish it through the latch post. Now there should be a wire clip right here that holds the license plate lamp. The ground attaches right there with a say 5/16 headed screw with a star washer so that it locks in. It has these tabs right here I've already applied, and that's what holds your harness up into the top of this channel. So as long as you get this ground wire lined up right there, then you can start bending these over to hold the harness up. Now there's two right up in here that hold the harness. These are a lot of times gone if you put quarters on, but I re-welded them in there, and that holds this harness up here and out of the way so that it don't hang in the trunk area. And then this sits across there and is taped to the trunk floor. And that's the installation of our taillight harness. Now we'll install the headlight harness. This has horn wires, headlight wires. It has all the main energy feeds for the ignition switch, ignition system, the plugs and everything for the voltage reducer, turn signal. If you had a car that had a turn signal in the hood, that's the plug for that. This wire here is for the brake light. So this plugs into the proportioning valve. And then this runs the length up to the front. Right here is the voltage regulator plug, your main grounds, your turn signal and headlight plug, horn. And this actually has plugs here. This is a GT wiring harness. So these two plugs here and here are for fog lamps, which are not used on the Shelby. And then this goes over to the starter relay for the main power source, starter wire, and ignition key switch wire that engages the starter solenoid. This plug here is for the alternator harness. feeds back around the master cylinder, and there's a big hole these go through and plug. Harness here, and these just plug into color coded, same colors as the plug. These are the headlights, ignition system, horns, voltage regulator, main power wire. It runs from the battery to powers everything. A lot of these have not been plugged in 40 years now. You're not going to get them wrong. It only plugs in one spot. You just got to make sure you get everything plugged in. Now we'll route this harness. Now it actually attaches to the shock tower with some clips, and we'll put the clips on here in a bit. And the main harness will feed through this round hole. And nothing makes your engine compartment look better and more detailed. It's all the little details, and is a fresh wiring harness with all the wires and all the bright colors. A lot of times these engine harness, they'll have overspray all over them, and used to have to restore this stuff. I had no option to buy new wiring. And that does not go all the way through. This is for the voltage regulator, which mounts right here, and the ground wires, which actually mount to the voltage. Once you get to that point, you let it set, and then these route all the way across the firewall and into the other hole where it routes in. And this comes up to the right here where the starter solenoid is. Yeah, the wiring harness is now in position.
23 is
I've seen it on other cars, but that's kind of my number, so I put it on as my inspection number.
And what about these?
Inspections that everything latched properly and lined up properly. Fixing to put the deck lid emblem on and the fender emblems. You have a backing plate and then the actual sticker, which sticks into that. They have a push-in pin. The original holes are in there, but you'll have a lot better adhesion than originally. And it keeps the dirt and debris out from behind it. More of a modern way of installing them.
protects the paint.
Protects the paint and just a lot better way to put them on. That's why I do it nowadays.
So, those push-in pins locate the badge, and the original holes drilled by Shelby American are still in this fender. Now, all we lack is that insert. Some people might criticize this modern method of installation. But we are achieving the same result. I mean, take a look. Plus the badge is going to stay in place longer.
Next we'll put the deck lid one on.
What's that?
Double-sided tape. It's better than using the barrel clips. Especially on the fiberglass, the barrel clips don't grab onto the edge of the, like it does with the steel. We're using the original holes, which line up good. We're using the double-sided tape. Actually stick it on a lot better than the original barrel clips.
Where'd the barrel clips go?
The barrel clips actually snap into the body panel itself, and then you press these and they kind of grab onto the pins. It can cause, when a lot of times you got to push them hard on the sheet metal, it'll actually bend the sheet metal a little bit. This is how all modern emblems are applied today, whether it be a letter or an actual nameplate.
So one push on, that's it, huh?
Yeah, one push on, that's it. Easy install. Here's the exact measurements and how the emblem was installed in Shelby. These are the original holes, so they actually did measure that emblem. It is to the exact measurements that are on this blueprint.
Well, we didn't have to measure because the holes were already
Yeah,
drilled.
the holes were already there originally, and I was curious to see how accurate they actually put them on, and it actually is within 1/8 to 1/16 of an inch. And here you can see where they used the barrel clip originally.
That's on to stay there.
got a complete bolt kit for the front and rear bumper, AMK.
And Ford bumpers.
Bracket rear, front fender, and bumper rear, bracket front. These are concourse bolts.
Now, how does this bumper rate?
Now the early reproductions, the Ford bumper is far superior, but modern reproductions now, nicer. Now these wavy washers go in between the bracket and the bolt and the bumper. This is to prevent over tightening of the bumper bolt and cracking the chrome. They're not a lock washer, so they don't go between the bracket and the nut. They go between the bumper and the bracket to prevent over tightening. And you see these fasteners have the correct markings, just as original, correct dome, height, everything as original. Correct lock nuts. These are the mounting bolts. They have a washer, cold anodized washer, black phosphate bolt, and they have a sealing washer. And then they come with shims. Some tape around the end cap so I don't chip anything.
What, 4 bolts?
4 bolts, not much holds it on. Kind of push it up against the body. It should end up being flush with the end cap.
What'd you say about shims?
Looks like we're not going to need any.
Shelby, sitting there protecting his Shelby.
Okay. There's your bumper. NOS bumper. Worth $1,000. What this bumper's worth. You buy a new one for $180.
Do you think somebody'd give $1,000 for that?
I wouldn't. I'd buy a repo.
I would too.
We got the new taillight lens, the one that is a replacement for the broken one. The other side is the original, so we can compare the differences. This is a reproduction. See, it's got the exact same numbers. And it has the Fomoco logo. This has the same numbers and the Fomoco logo. And right here on the end has a part number. This has the same part number across there. Same contours, everything.
1967 Cougar taillight housings.
These are a reproduction bezel because ours were missing. The way these mount is the tail light goes on. And then you have this bezel.
What's wrong?
Out a little too far, so I got to tweak them. Well, these studs are slightly
Still doesn't fit?
yeah, I got it fitting.
Oh, okay.
How cool is that?